let's talk to Sheldon, him from New York. Sheldon, you are live on the Atheist Experience. It sounds like you want to talk about Jesus Christ, that he is God. What you got for us?
I was asked to call by Versatile chat that I've been on, and they're actually from Trinidad. They actually listened to your program, and they asked me to have a discussion, and then they asked me to call in. And they told me this. I wasn't sure how the program worked, to be honest. And I was asked, what do I believe and why? I'm not asking anybody to believe anything I believe. That's how I believe. I believe that you make judgments, but for yourself. So I agree with a lot of stuff that you were talking about just now with the gentleman. I do believe Christ was, he was born, he died, and he rose again. I believe that he has spoken to me. He answers to Jesus, and he says he's God. So I don't, in the last 50 plus years that he's spoken to me, he's, as far as I can tell, not lied to me. And with that track record, I believe him. I believe he's he, and that's what he answers to. And that's why I believe what I believe.
So what else, Sheldon, what specifically convinced you?
That he is who he says he is. Like I said, over the past 50 plus years, he's been guiding me. Not that I've been listening. How has he been guiding you? Do you hear an audible voice? Do you feel something? Yes,
what is this experience like for you?
Voice. I have heard an audible voice. I have been shown future events if I make certain decisions, literally shown, almost like a video. But I still make the decisions that I want to make, because I wasn't told not to make it. I was told I shouldn't make it. And here's why. The things that I was shown did come to pass. Not asking anybody to believe in anything I say.
What kind of things?
The judgment.
What kind of things have you predicted?
Not me. I didn't predict anything. I was shown I wanted to help some people financially. And nobody would normally do what I did. Actually, I purchased the house to help them. But I was told beforehand, do not.
But wait, so you bought a house for people who needed one? That doesn't sound like anything supernatural. That sounds like you did a good thing for other people. That sounds like something you did.
I wanted to help these people. And I was told if I did, right, and I was shown, I would lose my shirt and worse. And it basically became a financial nightmare for me, to the point where I was, completely financially devastated because of stuff they did. And because my name basically was on property. I was getting fines. I spoke to them, and they parked a truck on the premises. And I'm living in New York City. That's the type of truck, it's a big rig truck, is illegal to park on that type of premises. When I told them about it, I was getting fined like $2,500 a day. They parked another one. So I had to go to court. The judge helped me out a bit.
I think we're straying a little bit here. Sheldon, I don't think that those particular details are necessarily relevant, but maybe we can get to that if it turns out to be relevant. But you've said a couple times now that you don't want to try to convince anybody else to believe what you believe. But do you think it's important that you have good reasons to believe what you believe? Or, so that's one option. You think that it's important to have good reasons to believe what you believe, or if you didn't have good reasons to believe your religious beliefs, do you want to believe them anyway? What's more important to you, knowing the truth or believing in God, which may be the same thing? They may not be, but if you had to choose one.
Truth is, like I said, truth is what I prefer to go after.
Okay. So then when you say something like, I'm not here to convince anybody else of anything, that's fine. Of course, you're not obligated to do that. But what I want to know is, how did you convince yourself
You can't do that either.
that this was true?
Like I said,
So some weird things
there's a lot
happen that you can't explain. How do you get to a God from that?
Like I said, the audible voice that has said certain things to me within the 50 plus years that I've been around.
Okay. So you're hearing voices. That's one. Okay. What's next?
A voice.
A voice. Okay, that's fine.
And
you heard a voice.
and
Sheldon, do you think that every time? Let's take this first thing. So you heard a voice. Do you think that everyone who says that they have heard a voice all actually did? Or do you think that some people think that they heard something, but they didn't?
No, I know what you're saying. No, not everybody that says they hear. I know people lie.
So how do you know that the voice you heard was a real voice? And then how do you know that that voice was God's voice?
Well, that voice eventually told me, I am God. So if I believe the voice, and the voice says I am God, then I have to believe I am God is the voice.
So we're asking, why did you believe the voice?
Yeah.
Everything the voice has told me thus far either has come to pass or has been proven true.
Right, but people that are not God can tell the truth.
Yeah, and at least the story that you were starting to tell us sounds very mundane. Like the things like getting fines on the street, going into financial distress because you're trying to do something for somebody else, and then buying a house to help somebody. Like all of that, whether or not you thought you saw that coming, like that's all very benign stuff and could happen coincidentally. I know so many people who would describe similar experiences. So how do I know that you're having actual God experiences and not just having your own thoughts in your head that tell you to do certain things?
How do you, or how do I?
How would one know that?
Okay. I don't know if you can know. You either believe it or you don't, I guess.
Okay, so that's it. Seems like you're failing your own priority here. You said you preferred truth over this God belief, if you had to choose. Obviously, we're recognizing, at least for the sake of this argument, that they could both be true at the same time. But you're saying that you'd rather be true if it turns out that there's no God. You want to believe that, and so you don't seem to be really given good reason to have that belief. What it seems to me is that you're admitting that you don't have a good reason, but that you're just believing anyway, which contradicts what you said earlier about what your priority is.
Well, I can't physically prove something along this line that's true if I don't know how.
Okay, so you can't prove it's true, so you shouldn't believe it, right?
No, the stuff that was said to me is true so far.
But but even in that voice, if the voice told you that it's God, like I have so many questions, because we've already discussed that just because you heard a voice doesn't mean that it's true. But it also is confusing of how you get to specifically this particular God, because you also mentioned the resurrection of Jesus Christ, and all of that. It seems totally separate from, like, because what if it was a different God that was speaking to you? What if it was Satan that was speaking to you? Like, I have so many questions, and I want to know how you got to this conclusion, other than just having a gut feeling that it was.
Well, I thought you only had like 7 minutes left, so I've read the Bible. I'm studying the Bible, actually. A lot of my answers actually came from the Bible as well. A lot of my explanations came from the Bible as well. So
Which specific ones?
like things I've
Which
seen,
specific answers?
other beings that I've seen, the Bible describes them as ghosts or spirits, and I believe them to be spirits. As far
There are
as
plenty of other religions
some
that
research
describe spirits, and that's again
Right.
something that you'd have to demonstrate. But even let's pretend that spirits were real. How does that get you to the Bible and not another religion that believes in spirits?
The neighborhood I was raised in, I had friends of many religions, and I've been exposed to at least 4 or 5 different other religions, including Hinduism, Islam, Voodoo. Well, not Voodoo particularly, but there's a Voodoo culture, and different forms of Christianity as well. So I haven't read the Quran yet, because I tried to get one for about 30 years, and I actually recently got one. But I have had many interactions and many questions that I would ask, and basically write off those other religions.
But
that doesn't answer our question.
Yeah.
How did you tease out which one was correct, if any of them?
Well, like I said,
You're not following through on your own commitment to truth, by the way. You're not following through on your own commitment. So if you really do believe that, then you need to step up to the plate here.
When I started reading the Bible and I call on Jesus, this is the voice that answers me. It's the same voice that was talking to me before.
And what? Is there more than that, or is that just it? You said, "Hey, Jesus," and a voice in your head said, "Yo, what's up?" Right? Is that what you're saying happened? And from that, you believe that there's a God, that Jesus is real?
The question, and I was told the question. I was told the answer.
Okay.
That I didn't have. At least
there are stories.
It wasn't in me.
There's stories of other people. There's stories of other people who converted to Islam for the same reason. There are people that have called out to Allah and believe that he's the one that answered them. So if I have you and that other person in front of me, and both of you are telling me your stories, I can't believe both of you, right? Both of your stories can't be true at the same time.
I'm as far as we're talking, I don't know. I don't know that could be possible.
So how would I make the decision? So if I had to listen to either one of you, what would you tell me to convince me that your God is the one that spoke and not that other person's God?
See, there we go. I wouldn't tell you anything to convince you. That's not my job, as far as I understand.
What would you tell to convince you?
I'm already convinced.
So you're just saying you just believe it. That's it. So again, you're violating your commitment to the truth there. You said you shouldn't believe things without good reason.
The voice of 50 plus years that has not lied to me, to my knowledge, has answered to the name Jesus.
To your knowledge.
Said to me, "You still know I am God." Whether or not I am knowledgeable of it or not, I have no idea. But this is what I choose to follow at the moment.
You choose to follow, okay?
Yeah, because I believe it to be true.
Right, but you don't have a good reason to believe it's true. You just said a couple times now that you just got to believe it.
Reason. I believe I have a good reason. You believe I don't have a good reason.
What's your good reason?
I believe this voice is credible.
And yet you have no evidence that the voice is telling the truth. There's no evidence, as far as I'm concerned, that you even heard a voice. I could call into this show and say that I heard a voice, and I've never even had that experience. I don't want to discount your experience. I don't want to invalidate your experience. I want to believe that you honestly believe this, but at the same time, like, I know that auditory hallucinations exist. People have had them. I know that people have heard voices from other gods, or at least they claim to. And so I'm just trying to get the right information. And honestly, if the Christian God is the real one, like, do you think that your God wants people to know about him? Do you think he wants me to believe in him?
I would be pretending to know what he knows. I don't know that.
Do you think does it concern you at all, the questions that Dr. Ben is asking you?
He died for you? Yes, I believe he died for you too.
No, that's not what I'm asking. Does it concern you at all, the questions that Ben is asking? Ben is saying that people have auditory hallucinations. Ben is saying that people hear things that they believe is from God that can't be, according to your belief, right? They have contradictory beliefs to yours that they heard in the same way that you're explaining yours. Does that concern you at all, that these kind of things are known to happen and it doesn't appear to be affecting your decision making? Doesn't that concern you?
It did, like I said, but looking at the track record, it doesn't bother me.
Sheldon, does your God want me to know about him? Is there something that will happen to me if I don't believe in God? Do you believe in hell? Do you believe, what do you believe in about that?
I do believe that hell exists.
So do you believe that God wants to keep people out of hell? Do you think that God wants people to be out of hell?
I do believe that.
Okay, so if God wants us to believe in him, why is his best evidence that some person I don't even know heard a voice one day or heard a voice over 50 years? How is, like, if God really wanted me to believe in him, why is he giving such,
you're asking me,
like,
you're asking me to know his reasoning. I don't know that. I didn't profess to know that.
Well, it sounds like if that's the best, if that's the best evidence God can come up with, it sounds like he doesn't want me to know. And so maybe I shouldn't believe.
Maybe he doesn't want you to know now. I don't know. There are times that he's waited to allow certain things, that choices I've made, that he's warned me about, and then allow me to make those choices, and then allow me to understand why he allowed me to make those choices. Because other than that, me, Sheldon, would not really truly understand what he was trying to show me.
Yeah, so I think we're just jumping around to a bunch of different points. I think we're gonna end here, but if you want to call back, like, please come up with even just your one or your three best reasons to believe, and tell us why we should believe you. Like, think about it really hard and think about, would this convince somebody else? Because if this is true, I want to believe it, but you have to give me enough information to work with. You have to convince me. So,
and more than that, when Dr. Ben asks you to do that, it's not because we want you to convince us, although that is the case. But the reason it's important, because if something is not convincing to us and is convincing to you, then we need to examine why that's different. Why is it so much easier to convince you of something than it is to convince us of something? If it's because we're being too close-minded, we want to know, or at least I do. I'm assuming, I don't want to talk for Dr. Ben, but I assume Dr. Ben wants to know the truth as well. And likewise, on the other side of that coin, if you're wrong, you should want to know, as you've claimed that you do want to know. Okay, so that's why we ask you for these arguments. We already know that you're convinced. You said you're a theist. We believe you. We believe that you've accepted these truths. Okay, when we ask you, can you demonstrate that, or can you prove it, or can you give us good evidence? Right. It's not because we want you to go out and talk to somebody else. It's because we want to examine why you believe it. And so if there's something that we disagree on, whether or not it's convincing, we can talk about that. That gives us some meaningful to address, because we at least claim to want to know the truth. If you're in that same boat, then we're on the same team. we're trying to do the same thing. We're trying to agree on what is the evidence, is the evidence compelling, and should we come to that same conclusion? That's something that we can do together because we want to talk about reality, which is independent from all three of us. And so when we ask for evidence, we're not saying you have to be an apologist and go out and make fishers of men, although somebody else told you to do that. But we do want to make sure that all of us are thinking reasonably, thinking rationally, including us and including you, because I think the world is better when most people do that. Does that make sense?
Sure. That makes sense. Fair enough.
Okay. All right, good.
Yeah.
Good. Then maybe we can end on a common note there.
Yeah, definitely call back in. I'd love to continue this conversation. Call earlier on in the show too, so that you can get some more time. But thank you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, thanks,
All
Sheldon.
right.